What up, everyone? This is Comic Outlaw coming to you live and loud with my friend Magnus. And we did a Magic the Gathering discussion a little while back. We just kind of found that people liked it, sort of, so we're going to be going over the different colors of Magic instead of just the creature types, going through the different odds and ends, going about this color, that color, seeing what they summon. And we're going to be focusing on white today.
It's like you're flashing your money, but instead it's magic cards.
Yep, here comes the money.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
And it helps that we also like playing Magic, so it's not that hard for us to talk about.
Oh yeah, I've been playing for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fun game.
Yeah, and it would be important to do it with a proper warboard orator, which might sound like a funny word if you're not familiar with it. It's if you've seen the back of the card plenty of times with the different colored symbols on it. If it was a clock, it would be white, blue, black, red, green, and the first letters spell out Warborg.
So we will be going in that order, and we will be starting with white.
Yes.
The life bringer.
And so I guess with starting with white, the important thing is to start with its number one ideology, which is community. And then all the ideologies that stem from that. So as part of community, you have protection. You got to protect the community, right?
Well, yeah. Well, you told me that because I play a lot of the older cards. Like COPs aren't for younger Magic people out there. COPs mean Circle of Protection.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, there was a Circle of Protection from all colors, and there was also a Circle of Protection from artifacts.
Yes. And so while all the colors, especially back in the day, they don't have protection anymore as the actual card mechanic, but they used to have it more back in the day, and it was primarily a white ability. Other colors had it, but white mainly had it.
Yes, the COPs are really important. Well, white wasn't too strong, like offensively. Like we did a video on Star Wars form fighting. Like I was telling you, it might be like compared to Form 3.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like Chorizo or Form 6.
Yeah, which are more defensive. And it's not to say that white can't be offensive, but it does it with caveats because white cares about justice. You can't just punish the community or other beings just to punish them. It needs to have reason and purpose.
And there's a lot of anti-black stuff too.
Yeah.
Which, of course, it's the opposite. You're going to see this a lot as we talk about different cards and different things. It worked really well with blue. The Merfolk really people come with mine. Green too. It's just basically a life booster.
Yeah.
And it gives you the big creatures.
Not so much with white, but like the green would bring.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, but the white helped out with the life and the.
Yeah.
It kind of like provided the backup to the big creatures. Sorry.
Yeah.
I meant, it provided backup. It was a good side. These big creatures that you were gaining life for every creature or for every creature type.
Sure.
And white kind of boosts that. White is more like a booster. I kind of see it like red. Like we'll talk about red. Red on its own can do only so much. And I feel like white is sort of like that too.
Yeah. Well, all the colors they all have their strengths and their weaknesses. And they share ideologies with different colors. Like you mentioned the life gain. Green's very good at gaining life. Oddly enough, one of its enemies, black, can gain life. But it, like white, it has caveats for certain things as well.
And then like the black and white cards, like they didn't have them a lot like back in the day, but now they have a lot of them. They sort of feed off like negative energy, like it does damage, and then you gain a certain amount of life.
Yeah, it's parasitism, and that's going to be a primary aspect of white-black.
Or you kill a certain creature and you lose certain life. There's always like a plus or minus to it. Yeah. Sometimes there's more pluses than minuses, or the other way around, depending on the card that you get. I noticed that knights, soldiers, like a lot of human characters are really big because we talked about creature types before in our last one, but they're really big in white.
Yeah.
Especially soldiers, like one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
I have to add.
And but sticking with the core ideologies so far with I was talking about justice. There's
you were talking about community, so
So for community, mention protection, which is finding different ways to protect the community, such as with the circle of protections, and there's there's also they do have a few counter spells in white.
They have a lot of, like, back in the old days, I don't know how it is now, they had a lot of, like, disenchants when they destroy target enchantment or artifact. Although they didn't have a super amount of enchantments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, white's actually very friendly with enchantments, and they're actually very friendly with artifacts.
Well, there was a certain aura, an enchantment that actually destroyed target enchantment or artifact every turn that came out.
Yeah, and they have a Aura of Silence, which makes your opponent's auras, when they come out, that it's costs more, and you can actually sacrifice to destroy one.
Yeah, white is a very interesting, like, it's sort of the Wrath of God, but not. And they actually have a card called Wrath of God.
Yeah, so if things start going south, and, you know, if your community is going down, you might as well take everyone out with you. So they have board wipes that they are the big ones with board wipes. It's going to be like Day of Judgment, Judgment Day, Wrath of God, Soul Scour. I mean, it's just like destroy all the creatures and, you know, blank slate, start over. That's another aspect of white.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, white has, like, those spells are few and far between, though. White usually has a lot of life gain. Clerics were very popular, cleric monks.
Sure.
For a certain set. Like, it's interesting, like, they sort of build, like, a lot of it's human, like you were saying before.
Yeah.
Like, green usually tends to move to elves. Dwarves are red and black sometimes, you know, but there's a lot of human character. Birds, too, like bird soldiers.
Yeah, that's a thing that it shares with blue, is that they like birds. If you're going to talk about primary mechanics such as flying and first strike, and actually double strike, that tends to be very much a white ability.
Walls, too.
Yeah, they have some of the more beefier walls, like if green and red, they're going to have a lot of the weaker walls. But
yeah. Well, like, I like about the soldiers, like the catapult soldier, where it removes target player from the game, which is so a white ability.
Oh yeah, Catapult Master, you tap 5 untapped soldiers and exile target creature.
Yeah, like, it has a lot to do with exile.
Yeah.
Like, blue deals with it, but white is really good at just getting rid of certain characters, certain creatures.
Yeah, and going back with the talking about justice, so that they have caveats where, such as with Catapult Master, you have to have 5 soldiers to tap. Yes. Or it has to be a certain color.
Yes, there's always a caveat.
Or if it's an attacking or blocking creature, they have to be doing something wrong for you to deal them 2 damage, for you to exile them.
Well, especially their defense, like Heroes Resolve, where it's a 1/5.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it gives you a lot of defense, but not a whole lot of offense.
Yeah.
You have to.
Righteousness gives. Just for 1 white, give target creature, blocking creature, +7/+7. It's an instant. Well, it has to be for blocking on your turn.
Well, you see, that's still sort of, you know, your kind of defense.
Yeah, it's kind of a kill spell. Like, if you make a 1/1 into an 8/8, like, it could block a 7/7.
Like, I remember a card, I think it was called Peace. Mm-hmm. For 1 mana, it was kind of like fog, where it prevented all damage.
Yeah, and they have Holy Day, which is literally just white fog.
Yeah. It was just renamed.
Yeah, going back to, you know, protection.
Yeah, the old day. And I think that's kind of like, you told me there's no, like, circle protections, they haven't made any. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of sad, because that was like one of the primary uses of white.
So what Magic seems to be doing now is they're chopping up the aspects of protection. So protection had an acronym, DEBT, DEBT. So if it had protection from something like, such as protection from black, it can't be damaged by black sources, can't be enchanted or equipped by black sources.
That's bullshit. Like,
can't be blocked by black sources.
When did this rule come out?
It's actually always been that way.
Really?
Yes, and it can't be targeted by black sources. And so what they're doing now, like they had in the newer Dominaria block, they had 2 knights where they had hexproof from black and hexproof from white. So they had the can't be targeted aspect, but they didn't have the other part. So they're chopping up the protections into its.
Well, even the CLPs, they were enchantments. You had to have 1 for each thing. Like, if you're playing a multicolor, like, and even then, it was a disadvantage to you, because you only had so many cards when you play a tournament. Mm-hmm. That's what a sideboard was for.
Yeah. But yeah, the last main card to have it is Emrakul the Promised End, which she was 13 flying that had protection from instants.
You were telling me about that.
Yeah, and before then, it was actually 2 sets prior.
Is she a multicolor?
No, she's colorless, interestingly enough. Yeah. And, Yeah, not even artifact, just colorless, no color.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, and but yeah, and white has, like you said, that they could deal with artifacts and enchantments. That they're very good at destroying them, but actually very good at bringing them back.
In a way, yes.
Yeah,
The first sets were more destroy, but
yeah, like they have a number of creatures that are weak, but you could sacrifice them to get like an artifact enchantment back.
yeah, I've actually seen that.
Yeah,
Green too.
yeah, green does that as well.
Mostly for artifacts though. I know white kind of leans more towards enchantments, and green kind of leans more towards artifacts, unless that's changed.
Yeah, and like white has Remember the Fallen, which is a spell that lets you return a creature and or an artifact back, while green has Entrancing Melody, which
how much do they cost?
3 mana.
3, that's not bad.
Yeah,
Instant or sorcery?
it's a sorcery.
Mm.
Well, green has one where it returns a creature or an enchantment, so they do kind of favor one or the other.
Yeah, but like a lot of these colors, like people build different color decks. I'm not a 5-color fan.
Mm-hmm.
I usually like to mix 2 or 3, but
yeah.
not. I'm not a big multicolor fan. Like other people are. I think white's a fair one to use. Like if you're building specific creature decks, like people build all colored. I do that too. It's a great one to have, but it needs to be balanced out with something. And usually you pick your abilities based on what the other color is.
Yeah. Like if you're going to have a white-blue deck, blue's more control-y, so you would lean the white towards that. Like the white would have like pacifism, enchanted creature can't attack or block. It would have work with more counter spells and gaining life, trying to stall the game until you could get a board position that favored yourself.
And red's more forward, so the white's good at defense and life, because the red really doesn't have life, so you put that in accordingly.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, they have Lightning Helix, which is 1 red, 1 white mana, deal 3 damage to target creature or player, and you gain 3 life.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just both aspects of the colors combined.
Well, I was telling you, they used to have griffins.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point before my collection was stolen from me the first time, I had a Griffin deck, which is a red and white deck. I call it House Harkonnen. Yeah. It was really cool, because I thought the red and the white balanced each other out really well. There was a lot of attack and a lot of healing.
Yeah.
And then plus with the flying creatures, it gave you that edge, especially starting out immediately, which some people don't attack immediately out of courtesy. Well, that's your own fault for not taking advantage of a situation.
It happens. But and Griffin is an underutilized creature type.
Yes. And well, I had to use Brass Herald with it too.
Yeah, Brass Herald's a pretty good
card. Because at the time, this was like 15 years ago, so.
Yeah, and Brass Herald is a Lord card that pumps up a creature type of your choice.
Yep, +1/+1, and then you take the top 4 with the Griffins in your deck, put the other ones on the bottom. Same old.
And I think currently the most powerful Griffin is Retaliator Griffin, which is actually 3 colors. It is white, red, green. And I think it's a 3/3 flying, and it costs a total of 4 or 5 mana. I'm a little hazy on that, but when you're dealt damage, it gets that many +1/+1 counters. That's the Retaliator. So yeah, the more you get hurt, the bigger it gets.
There's a vampire that did the opposite of that. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Is there anything else you'd like to add about the white?
Actually, I think we could just start talking about the creature types. Really,
we could, but we did that in the last show. But we could go on about it. I don't mind.
Well, I guess could be mentioning tokens. White has...
Oh, yes, it's big in tokens.
White's pretty big on tokens, but they're big on weak tokens. They have a lot of 1/1s.
Yes.
Which is also something that red does, but like the other colors, that they tend to have 2/2s, 3/3s.
Well, because like green, because we're going to be talking about this another time, specializes in upping their tokens. Mm-hmm. White are basically there for sacrifice. That's why like the white is good playing with something else.
Yeah.
Something needs to be sacrificed. You have to get like red, black, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Blue in some cases, where you sacrifice a creature or a token creature. Yeah. Or you need something to sustain you for that bit.
Yeah. And probably the 2 most common token types for white is going to be soldier, and then also spirits that they have.
Yeah, also that mushroom one for a while that was producing spores. Yeah, that's what they're called.
The Thalids?
Yeah, the sapling creatures.
Yeah, well, that's a green. That's not one.
No, they had a white one too.
Yes, they actually had a a color shifted version of elf card that worked
Yeah, but
well
there
with
was a
allies,
white
but
mushroom one, dude. That
yeah, it's and you can also sacrifice a sapperling to give your creatures +1/+1.
I think something like
Yeah,
that.
it was like a
There was
2/4.
different ones, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, like they produce, but they're not that
yeah.
strong.
Oh, I guess one big thing about white is they have anthem cards, which are enchantments that give your creatures +1/+1.
But that's a quick +1/+1. I mean, like,
Yeah, and it stays on the board, so unless it gets destroyed, then your creatures just stay buffed.
yeah, but white's like I don't know. Like I said, like white's good, but it's I like using it as a color to mix in.
Yeah,
More than anything else.
yeah. Well, especially since their big bads tend to be angels, which are like tend to be 4/4 or 5/5 flying, so their
Well,
powers don't really get that high.
like I said before in the other video, if you're gonna go all white, go soldier and angel and mix them all together.
Mhm.
Gives you a nice mix of flying. The soldiers remove creatures from the game.
Yeah.
A lot of defense. Have a few
And
destroy enchantments.
actually, there's a angel that goes really well with humans. Angel of Glory Rise.
Mm.
That when it enters the battlefield, you destroy all zombies and return all humans from your
I've
graveyard.
seen that card. Yeah.
Yeah, and you return them to the battlefield. I think they just pop back in.
So soldiers are considered human now because they had actually back in the old days they actually had to say human.
Yeah, and so a lot of the soldiers are humans, but then there's also like elf soldiers. And there's
Well,
a
that's
few
what I'm
goblin
saying.
soldiers. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, and interesting thing about like soldier and stuff like that is that they are creature types, but they're kind of classes, and that's
Yeah.
what came out of Lorwyn because they had the core types such as human, goblin,
Elf,
such.
goblin, yeah.
But then they started having wizard, rogue, soldier. Yeah, and
Well, certain knights too worked with soldiers too back in the day.
Oh yeah, and yeah, they're still.
It was
producing
nice to
stuff
give
like
soldiers a +1/+1, but they were old cards.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I can think of with the white. What about you?
that. I think that's actually pretty comprehensive. We could talk about hours for it, but then we'll
Yes.
just start slowly whittling away at just the most minutia.
And then we'll
things.
start complaining, and you know how that is.
Yeah.
But this is Magnus, the comic outlaw, dropping a little knowledge on Magic, White Edition. Check it out. Check out the game. Really cool to play. And as always, we'll catch you on the flip side. Laters.
Later.